Hi there, I'm Mrs. Irvin, and I've come outside today to do some observations in nature and to write some poems. So I've been sitting out here for a while, and I've got my pencil and clipboard, and I've been looking around me, and I found a nice, comfortable spot. And when I started to observe, I really noticed that my eyes just kept going, kind of looking in the distance. So my observations and poems today are about things that are a little bit far away. Sometimes I like to look up close and um, look at things really carefully. But today I just found myself looking off in the distance for some reason. I love this tree. I think I've talked about it a little bit before, the big tree in front of my house. And I just was watching it, and I was looking at its branches, and I was using those um, statements that we or questions or ideas that we usually use when we are observing in nature. That whole idea of, I notice, I wonder, and it reminds me of. And those are three things to kind of pull back. You can still write whatever you want when you're writing and observing, but those things really help to kind of ground me and uh, and help with my observations. So I sat for a while, and I really was just checking out the branches of the trees, and I was thinking, wow, they kind of are all kind of tangled up way. There's some interesting patterns, but they also look to me a little bit like a tangle of wires or something. And I was looking at them for a while, and then when I was kind of looking at that tree, and I looked up, and there was our a red-tailed hawk. There's usually one or two that fly in around my yard because I live right next to a field. So they kind of like to look for mice or snakes or whatever they're interested in eating. So I was excited. So I started to look at the hawk. So I had these two kind of things I was thinking about and looking at and observing. And I was really watching the pattern. It's a little bit of a windy day, and I was watching the hawk, and then for a minute, I was just looking at it. It was right above, and then it just kind of landed right on a branch in Big Tree. It just landed perfectly. It was so interesting. They're so good at flying and landing, and so I watched it for a while, and it just sat there so still. And so that was really a really fun thing to see. And then what I did was I was making some sketches, and I was taking some notes with those ideas, what I was noticing and what I was wondering. One thing I started to wonder about the tree is that it's so beautiful right now, these branches against this blue sky, and I'm so excited too for summer. But I also know when the leaves start to come out, that tree's going to look completely different. And so I was feeling a little like, oh, I'm going to miss this tree because I won't be able to really see the branches as much. So as excited I am about the changes, I'm also kind of wondering, that's going to be a while before I'll see it again without leaves. So I started to kind of think about the hawk and think about the tree, and I had little kind of some mini sketches, and I was just writing down some words. And then from there, I took on my piece of paper, I kind of went to the bottom, and I started to take some of the notes that I had made, and I started to shape them into a poem. And as you know, poems can look so different from one poem to the next, and you might have certain poems that you like, ways that you like to write poems, or how you want them to look. Some poems have some rhyming in them, some don't, and they're more free verse. Some poems might be just a few words, some might have long lines. You might have heard of different kinds, like a haiku, or there's many different kinds of poems. So I just thought I would just have fun and take my observations and see what happened. So I actually wrote two poems, so I was excited. My goal was to write one poem, but I wrote two. The first one's about the red-tailed hawk. I don't have a name for it, so if you have a suggestion, you can always send me a suggestion for a title. But I'll read what I have. It's kind of scribbled on the paper. I might go back and type it up or something if I get excited about sharing it with my family or something. So here it is. I'll read the one about the red-tailed hawk. The red-tailed hawk soars above the field, then lands firmly on a branch. on the big tree in front of my house. The bird stands still as a statue, watching and waiting. I wonder if I could ever be that patient, waiting for a meal. They really sometimes sit, I see them sit for hours waiting for something, so All right, and here's my second poem. This I'm just calling Big Tree. Maybe there's a better name and I can figure that out later, but for now I just write down my thoughts and my words. Big Tree. I notice branches stretching way up high, a tangle of limbs blowing and twisting against the sky. I know your leaves will be coming out soon, and I wonder if you'll still be as beautiful against the full moon. So those are my two poems. I want you to go ahead and ask your parents, head outside, and I hope that you can find some poems out there from your observations. So have fun.